Okay, we're going to get started. So welcome and thank you for joining us for the training for the 2022 Harmful Algal Bloom Shoreline Monitoring Program. We're thrilled to have your involvement this year to help keep a trained eye out on Canandaigua Lake. We're going to start out with a few brief remarks about the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association, and then you'll hear from our HABS team leaders who will speak to different aspects of the program. So here are this year's HABS team leaders. On your left, you'll see Sally Napolitano, who's a CLWA board member, and she's the chairperson of our Citizen Science Committee. She's also one of the founders of our Shoreline Harmful Algal Bloom Monitoring Program. This year, Sally will continue in the role of HABS Program Director. This year, Nadia Harview is rejoining the HABS leadership team in the role of Data Coordinator, and she continues to volunteer as a shoreline monitor. My name's Lindsay McMillan. I'm the Association Director for the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association, and my role with the program this year is the Communications Coordinator. On your right is Lynn Klotz, another founding member of our HABS program. Our returning volunteers will remember her as our original volunteer coordinator. She's going to continue to provide hands-on support for the program, assisting with program planning and filling in when she can as she fulfills her many responsibilities as our CLWA president. So now that you've met our team, we'd also like to give a shout out to the many partners that make this program possible. Each group brings a different skill or technical expertise to the table. This includes the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Council and Watershed Program Manager Kevin Ovani, providing technical support and daily review of the reports coming in that helps us assess overall lake-wide conditions. The Finger Lakes Institute in Geneva, New York, under the direction of Dr. Lisa Kleckner, will provide analytical support of the water samples collected for our program this year. Seneca Lake Pure Waters, who is our neighboring lake association, they provide the framework for this volunteer program. A little later on in this talk, we're going to share the online reporting tool that was developed by Seneca Lake Pure Waters to collect our HABS reports. Finger Lakes Community College professor Patty Thompson, she performs monthly sampling program through a partnership with the Watershed Council, which looks at a full suite of water quality indicators. This information collected goes back 20 plus years and serves as a long-term data set on the lake. The New York State DEC. The DEC provides an online portal where citizens can go to find out more about the water quality across the state. DEC research scientist Tony Prestigiacomo has also served as our lake representative and has performed his own HABS research on the lake. I blew it. And a new partnership this year for our HABS monitoring efforts are with Dr. Greg Boyer and SUNY Environmental Science and Forestry. Several of our volunteers are piloting the use of this new iolite microscope technology as part of the program this year. We'll speak a little bit more about this later in the presentation. So here's a little bit about CLWA. Many of our volunteers are longtime CLWA members and supporters, but several of you are new to CLWA this year. We are a member-supported nonprofit organization focused on preserving, protecting, and restoring the health of the watershed for future generations. Our board members, volunteers, and supporters all share one vision: to help protect the lake that we all love from the many threats that are facing it today. We do this by promoting education, awareness, by participating in scientific research, and by encouraging a culture of lake stewardship amongst residents, businesses, and our stakeholder groups. We offer a variety of programs, volunteer opportunities, and ways to take action. We encourage you to visit our website to learn more, follow us on our social networks to stay connected to our many activities. We have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and a YouTube where you can find us. So for those that are new to volunteering with CLWA, let's start out by sharing a little background on the Shoreline Monitoring Program. In 2015, a toxin-emitting blue-green algae appeared in large concentrations in the Finger Lakes. Seneca Lake Pure Waters responded quickly by taking a coordinated approach to shoreline monitoring, and we followed their lead. In 2018, we launched our first monitoring program with a modest number of volunteers. As you can see from this slide, over the last 4 years, the program has grown significantly. With 67 volunteers for the upcoming season, we'll have more eyes on the lake than ever. We have to update that. In this effort, we have a very active partner in the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Council to work with us to assess the information collected by our dedicated volunteers. We thank you for your involvement this year. It's only with your great assistance that we're able to continue this important program.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to introduce you there, right? Yeah, I have to make a note of that for myself.
Why did this, is this slide 6?
Yes, this is slide 6.
This is still you. Sorry about that. I was 7 through 17.
Okay, so this is mine, and then after this, I thought, okay, I got mixed up.
But you've kind of already spoken to all these things.
For the goals for monitoring?
Yeah, you've talked about, well, go ahead.
Is it a little redundant, we think?
I think, so let me just, why don't we turn off the recording?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So here's what I think. Let's go back to our partners.
Hold on a sec.
That slide.
Hold on, hold on a sec. I'm trying to determine if I pause the recording.
Okay.
Yeah, let me pause. I'm going to pause the recording because then I think I can actually, if I stop it, I don't know, we might have to launch a new meeting. So let me pause it. You all set?
Yes.
One second, Sally. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the training for the 2022 Harmful Algal Bloom Shoreline Monitoring Program. We're really excited to have your involvement this year to help keep a trained eye out on Canandaigua Lake. We're going to start out with a few brief remarks about CLWA, and then you're going to hear from one of our HABS team leaders who's going to speak to a different aspect of the program. So here is this year's HABS team leaders. On the left, you see Sally Napolitano. Sally is a CLWA board member, and she's the chairperson of our Citizen Science Committee. She's also one of the founders of our HABS program. This year, Sally continues in the role of HABS program director. Nadia Harview is rejoining the HABS leadership team in the role of data coordinator this year. She also continues to be a CLWA volunteer and a shoreline monitor. My name is Lindsay McMillan. I'm the association director for the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association, and my role with the program is the communications coordinator. And on your right, you'll see Lynn Klotz, another founding member of our HABS program. Our returning volunteers will remember her as our original volunteer coordinator for the program. She's going to continue to provide hands-on support this year, assisting with program planning and filling in when she can, as she also fulfills her many responsibilities as our CLWA president. So now that you've met our team, we'd also like to recognize the many partners that make this program possible. Each group that we've outlined here brings a different skill set or technical expertise to the table. The Finger Lakes Institute in Geneva, New York, under the direction of Dr. Lisa Kleckner, will provide analytical support of the water samples that we collect this year. Seneca Lake Pure Waters Association, who's our neighboring lake association, provided the framework for this program. A little later on in the talk, we're going to share the online reporting tool that Seneca Lake Pure Waters developed. The data we collect is also shared with the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Council specifically the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Program Manager, Kevin Olvani. Kevin uses these reports to review and assess the current lake-wide conditions. The New York State DEC is another active program partner. They provide an online portal where citizens can go to find out more about the water quality across the state. DEC research scientist Tony Prestigiacomo has also served as our lake representative and performed his own research on the lake. In a new partnership this year for our HABS monitoring efforts are Dr. Greg Boyer and SUNY Environmental Science and Forestry. About a dozen of our volunteers will be participating in a research project with SUNY ESF this year, which we're going to speak to a little later on in the presentation. So here's a little bit about CLWA. Many of our volunteers are longtime CLWA members and supporters, but several of you are new to CLWA this year. We are a member-supported nonprofit organization focused on preserving, protecting, and restoring the health of our watershed for future generations. Our board members, our volunteers, and supporters, we all share one vision, which is to protect the lake that we all love from the many threats that face it today. We do this by promoting education and awareness. We participate in scientific research, and we try to encourage a culture of lake stewardship amongst residents, businesses, and stakeholder groups. We offer a variety of different programs, volunteer opportunities, and ways to take action. So we encourage you to visit our website to learn more and follow us on our social networks to stay connected to our many activities. We have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and also a YouTube channel with some of our pre-recorded talks that would be of interest to our members. For those that are new to volunteering with CLWA, let's share a little bit of background on the shoreline monitoring program. In 2015, a toxin-emitting blue-green algae appeared in large concentrations across the Finger Lakes. Our friends at Seneca Lake Pure Waters responded very quickly, taking a coordinated approach to shoreline monitoring, and we followed their lead. In 2018, partnering with Seneca Lake Pure Waters, we launched our first volunteer monitoring program with a modest number of volunteers. And as you can see from the slide here, over the last 4 years, the program has grown significantly. This year, we're going to have 67 volunteers to help us in our monitoring season. We thank you for your involvement this year. It's only with your great assistance that we're able to continue this important program. So why is the shoreline program so critical to our watershed community? Well, here we outline our overall goals for the effort. To start out, education. The information that you'll be collecting this summer about water quality is used to help us communicate current lake-wide conditions to the community through our email blasts, Facebook posts, and updates to local news outlets. By trying to increase transparency around the occurrence of HABs, lake users can then make better informed decisions about how they want to use the lake. The Shoreline program also contributes towards statewide and local research about HABs. The data that's collected these last several years has been used by the DEC, the Finger Lakes Institute, Cornell University, SUNY ESF, and many others in cutting-edge science, which is exploring many different aspects of HABs trends in the Finger Lakes. The data is currently being used to monitor the changes in the algal community over the summer months, in remote sensing, and other research initiatives. Other goals for the program are for advocacy. The information that we collect is used to alert our public officials, make them aware of the concerns, and potentially help us seek out funding sources in the future. So at this time, now that we've gone through our goals for the program, I'd love to introduce one of our HABS team leaders, Sally Napolitano, to take you through the structure of our program. So thank you, Sally, for joining us, and we'll learn a little bit more about how you all are going to report.
And thank you, Lindsay. Hi, everyone, and a welcome from me. Thank you all for your continued support of this program. So here is a map displaying the 62 active zones we have this year, which are being monitored by our 67 volunteers. Several of these folks work as teams, which accounts for the difference in zone versus volunteer numbers. Each of your zones are assigned to a specific lake region. As you see, a large percentage of the lakefront will be under surveillance this summer. For those of you who are returning, you may notice that we have reduced the number of regions this year from 7 to 6. We have done this for 2 reasons. Regions and their associated regional coordinators were initially developed to provide nearby support for volunteers as questions arose. This was particularly important when we expanded our program, excuse me, and added new volunteers who might need assistance in identifying a bloom or using the reporting system. As each of you have gained experience, the need for regional coordinators has diminished. The second reason for the change in the geographical regions is in support of a newly launched research project we are undertaking with Dr. Greg Boyer at SUNY ESF. Briefly, this 3-year project is studying the changes in the algal community and in-lake nutrients over time and geographical location to better understand the conditions that precede and trigger a harmful algal bloom. We have selected 6 sampling sites denoted by the black pins on this slide as our ESF sampling sites. During the summer months, weekly water samples are being collected from these sites and analyzed by SUNY ESF for cyanobacteria, their associated toxins, and nutrients. Each of these sites has a team leader and is supported by team members. For those of you that are sampling monitors this year, after you enter your online report, you will be delivering your sample to the team leader within your assigned region. More detailed instruction will be provided in your folders at the meet and greet on July 12th. I expect that many of you are familiar with or have heard Dr. Boyer speak about harmful algal blooms. But for those of you who are not, Greg is a nationally recognized expert on HABS and the director of the Great Lakes Research Consortium. We are extremely excited to be collaborating on a research project with him that will be the most in-depth study of its type done on Canandaigua Lake. Your efforts this year will contribute to this project. So with that background, let's look at this year's program and your roles and responsibilities. There are 3 different roles and responsibilities that our HABS volunteers will fill this year. Each is equally important and provide us with weekly assessments of lake conditions. Both visual and sampling monitors provide weekly reports of conditions within their zone. Sampling monitors have the added responsibility of collecting a HABS sample and delivering it to their region's ESF team leader for processing. Those team leaders, in turn, are responsible for processing the HABS sample and coordinating its delivery to the CLWA office so it may be transported to ESF and FLI for analysis. So let's meet our 6 ESF team leaders. All of these folks have been part of the volunteer shoreline monitoring program since its inception, and we are grateful for their continued support. And next is a list of all the volunteers organized by region. If you don't see your name here, please contact us so we can rectify the situation. As previously mentioned, we have broken the shoreline up into 6 regions, and each region has a team leader. At our meet and greet, you will receive a region-specific contact list with names, email addresses, and phone numbers for each volunteer and the region's team leader. So we're going to jump into identifying HABs. And although much of this was covered in the DEC training video, I'd like to talk a little bit about what HABs look like on Canandaigua Lake, the HABs and the HABs not. So you have heard us use terms like surface streaking, pea soup, dots in the water. Blooms are typically seen on calm, warm, sunny days, late in the summer, and are most often obvious along shorelines and breakwalls, although occasionally long streaks may be seen mid-lake. The first confirmed bloom on Canandaigua was in the summer of 2015. And as Lindsay mentioned earlier, the shoreline monitoring program started in 2018. And with each year, blooms have been confirmed roughly 3 weeks earlier than the previous summer. Last year's first bloom was confirmed by a sample taken on July 1st. So let's look at some actual Canandaigua Lake HABs. These images were taken from the east side of the lake, and they are unmistakably pea soup in appearing blooms. The photo on the left was from Crystal Beach in 2019, and the photo on the right is Ontario County Beach in 2018. These you would have no difficulty in identifying as a bloom. But is this a bloom? Dots in the water are typically seen in the top 12 inches from the surface. They are usually easier to view in a partially shaded area. If you look closely at this photo, you can see some surface streaking. Yes, this would qualify as a bloom. It's likely that there will be many times you will notice dots in the water, but it should be accompanied by some surface streaking to qualify for a bloom or for sampling. Now let's look at some HAB imposters. The first picture on the left is something we see in the summer, particularly after a heavy rain. These are aquatic plants consisting of duckweed and watermeal, which get flushed out of the West River after a heavy rain. Currents then carry these plants north, where they can be seen in large swaths in the mid-lake region or settling into coves and along shoreline. The second or middle picture is a photo of pollen collecting at the shoreline. And as you all know from the last several weeks, pollen has been coating our cars, patios, and it's no surprise that it also collects on the lake surface. This middle picture was taken in late May in the Cottage City neighborhood, showing a lot of pollen, not a HAB. And the third picture to the far right is a picture showing filamentous green algae. And although it may appear as a bright green HAB, with closer inspection, this usually gathers beneath the surface and not on the surface of the water. A method to distinguish filamentous algae from a HAB is by using the OR test. If you take a long stick or a paddle and dip it into the questionable water, and the green material stays on the stick or paddle and has visible filaments, it is not a HAB. So that this is our DEC hub scientist, Tony Prestigiacomo. Hopefully you all watched the DEC training video that was held on the 7th and got to meet Tony virtually. As a reminder, each volunteer that is new to the HABS program this year is required to watch this DEC training. The training link has been sent out previously, and if you didn't receive it or you'd like to receive it again, please let us know. And with that, I think I'll turn it back to Lindsay. Thank you.
Great. And thanks for sharing all that good info, Sally. So we mentioned earlier, we kind of referenced that we were going to be having a meet and greet. So we wanted to announce that we will host this meet and greet on Tuesday, July 12th. Our HABS team will be at the CLWA office between 3 o'clock and 7 p.m. on that day. So we welcome you to stop by and join us for our meet and greet. If you come by during that window to pick up, you can pick up your materials. Several of our team leaders will be there. And at this time, we can also help you submit a test report, which we're going to demonstrate in a few minutes as well. So your material packets will include a reference guide on how to submit reports. It will also include information about harmful algae blooms. It'll have brochures in there, which can be shared with your neighbors and your friends that are looking for more information about HABs. And we're going to make also all the materials will be available to you electronically as well. So as I mentioned, in a few minutes, we're going to go through the process of reporting and submitting your observations. A couple more details. This summer's program officially begins on Friday, July 22nd, and it'll conclude on Thursday, October 6th. So expectations for our volunteers are to monitor your zone and submit a minimum of 1 report for each of the 13 weeks of the program. However, we always welcome additional visual reports as the conditions change. No bloom reports are also welcomed as well, because that actually gives us just as good of information about the condition of the lake. So again, you're encouraged to submit at least a minimum of 1, but if you'd like to submit more, we will always take them. Especially if conditions are changing on the lake or if you observe a bloom. So as an example, if you submitted a no bloom report on a Monday and 2 days later you see a bloom, we would ask that you please submit a second visual report. And this would apply to both our sampling monitors and our visual monitors. And as mentioned in the welcome email, we have our own Survey 123 online reporting platform, which you will use each week when you complete the survey of your zone. We choose to use our own platform so that we can have access to and maintain the data that we collect from each of you on your surveys each week. This information comes to us directly and updates the HABS map that you can find on the CLWA website in real time. And having our own platform allows us to customize our yearly reports, document trends, and share our data with our research partners. So once you submit your weekly report through the link, we will take that information and then upload it to the DEC NIHABS page. So within a few days, you can expect to see your report populate on the NIHABS website as well. In addition to the link for your computer, there's also a mobile app for Survey 123. If you have the app and survey form installed from last year, like if you're a returning monitor, you will see a prompt to update. So please click on that prompt to update the app. That'll make you current for 2022. If you're new to the program, when you join us at the meet and greet on July 12th, we can help you download the Survey 123 app on your mobile device and guide you through submitting a test survey. Bookmarking the instructions for the Canandaigua Lake HABS survey and report link on your computer, we can go through that in detailed instructions in the reference guide as well, and we can help you through it at that time too. So in a few minutes, we're going to share a demonstration on how to use the Canandaigua Lake HABS survey and reporting link. Please note this session was recorded last year, and since then we've added a few drop-down selections to the survey that are specific to the ESF project. So if you are an ESF team leader, please follow the instructions that we've previously provided. This recording is going to go through 3 examples of submitting a no bloom report, a bloom report, and an offshore report.
Lindsay has pulled up the link here to the Canandaigua HABS survey and report. And we're going to start here by using Lindsay's information. She has a really long email address. But the nice thing about this is once she puts it in here, and you'll experience the same thing, much of this will self-populate. So she's entered her email and her full name. The third question, excuse me, is type of report. And you see that this has already defaulted to shoreline, which is what you are. You're shoreline monitors, and we'll talk about the offshore selection later. The water body is selected for you. It's Canandaigua Lake. And the next box is a drop-down menu where you will select your zone number. So some of you don't know your zone numbers yet. That again will be provided to you in your information packet. So Lindsay is zone 3601. And if we could right now, Lindsay, can you scroll down to the map? So Lindsay's zone 3601 happens to be Kershaw Park. And so what this is showing you is once you select your zone number, it will drop the pin to the appropriate zone. So if we go back up now, Lindsay, thank you. You'll see that the date and time, it defaults to the current date and time. There is the capability to put in other dates and other times so that if you don't get an opportunity to upload your report when you do your survey, you can always come back to do it. Just please make note of the date and time. So the next question is is titled percent survey. And this is the approximate percentage of the zone of your zone that you surveyed. So say, for example, you have 4 homes that are of about equal distance, and you only surveyed 2 of them. So that's around, I gave a bad example. Let's say you only surveyed 1 of them. So that's, let's say 25%. So we're going to pick 25 to 50. The bloom extent, this describes the extent of the bloom. So small localized would be a few properties. Again, in my example of 4 houses, it might be just 2. Large localized might be all 4 of your properties. And lakes or widespread lake-wide would refer to as far as the eye could see. That seldom happens on Canandaigua Lake, thank goodness. So hopefully you won't be collecting that one very often. Okay, so the next box, Lindsay, let's pick no bloom present because we're doing a no bloom report. And then the rest of these are fairly self-explanatory. Current weather, pick clear. Weather in the past 24 hours, you can pick clear. Wind direction, and this refers to the direction the wind is coming from. Generally on Canandaigua Lake, it's out of the southwest. And then there's a comment box. So here it's helpful to us if you could put in air temperature and wind speed. And again, this is information that you can pull up on a weather app. So Lindsay, why don't you put in airspeed of 11 miles an hour and air temperature of 75 degrees. All right, and then let's scroll down. Again, you see that the pin is dropped in Lindsay's zone, and all you need to do is hit submit, and you are done submitting with that green check mark. You are done submitting successfully a non-bloom report. All right, now let's go back, and for number 2, we're going to submit a bloom report. So again, I'm going to ask Lindsay to put in her information, and there it has self-populated. Again, we're doing a shoreline report. Our water body's Canandaigua Lake. Our zone number, let's pick 3601 again. We'll leave the time and date. Percent surveyed. Let's just pick 50 to 75 here. Bloom extent, so we're reporting a bloom, so let's put small localized. Current weather with the bloom, it's normally clear. And the weather we'll pick clear again. Wind speed, it's normally calm, so, oops, wind direction, excuse me, so southwest. And here, in reflecting what Lynn said, let's say it's air temp is 90 degrees and the winds are at 3 miles an hour. You can also add descriptors here, such as, dots in the water and light streaking. So now we're into the bloom information. You're going to see that we have some different questions to answer since we indicated that we are submitting a bloom report. So the first question is, did you take a sample? And for all the visual monitors, this will always be no on any visual report. And many times for a sampling monitor, it will also be no. So again, there's an area to give a description of the HABs. Let's pick light algae levels, light streaking, heavier dots in the water column. And the rest of the form here is where you can upload pictures. We would ask for a minimum of 2 photos. In this example, we're just going to upload 1, but we would request that you take a close-up picture of a bloom and upload it, and then a more landscape version of a bloom, so that there's some reference to how widespread the bloom is. So Lindsay has uploaded a photo, and Lindsay, if you would scroll down to the GPS information. And it's showing Lindsay still at 3601. So what's interesting here is if you take your photo with your GPS enabled on your phone, and Lindsay, maybe you have another photo that you could upload here, maybe one from another location. How about that first one on 925?
That's the one we just did. So let's try this one here.
Okay. Okay, that one worked. So that photo looks like it was also taken from my beach. And if you notice, even though Lindsay put in zone 3601, because I had GPS enabled on that photo, it has now moved the pin to the location where the photo was taken, which is really was a new feature that we added last year and is very helpful in pinpointing where the actual bloom is. So while we're still here on submitting a bloom report, why don't we scroll back up? And I think this will be familiar to all the sampling monitors. So under the question of, did you take a sample? All the sampling monitors are familiar with this, but go ahead and click yes. And just to kind of refresh everybody's memory, by clicking yes there, the program generates a sample number for the bottle. So please make note of that sample number. That number will be written on your bottle and on your chain of custody form. And obviously, if you look at that number, it is the year, the month, the day, and the zone number. So Lindsay, I think we're all set. If you go down and click submit. Yay. So we got another green check mark, which means we've successfully sent our data. So the last option that I'd like to run through, again, something we added last year, didn't get a lot of use, but we still believe that it's worthwhile. Again, this is not required by any means, but it's a feature that we added because we saw the ability to, gather some additional data. So we have added the ability to make an offshore report. So in the situation, if you happen to be out in your boat and you observe a bloom, you can report it. Not required again, but something that is just a nice capability. So because this is an offshore report, there will be no applicable zone number. but let's pop down to the zone number. And you're going to see that there are, if you scroll all the way down, we have listed CSLAP sites. So CSLAP stands for Citizen Statewide Lake Assessment Program. And we have 2 sites here on Canandaigua Lake that volunteers working for CLWA work from. And one is at the north end and one is at the south end. So if you happen to be out on the boat and you observe a bloom, kind of estimate which portion of the lake you're in and pick that site. So let's pick this south site. Thank you, Lindsay. We'll leave the time and date where it is. There's not really a good option here. Because again, you don't have this frame of reference from a zone, but let's estimate small localized. Current weather, we'll say clear. We'll say clear. Wind direction, we'll pick southeast. West, west. Doesn't matter. And comments again, let's say it's 90 degrees, 0 winds. We scroll down again. This is not a situation where you'd be taking a sample, so we sample no. We can pick light algae levels. And Lindsay is now going to upload a photo that she took while she was out in the middle of the lake. And let's scroll down, Lindsay, to the map. And you'll see that, so the map dropped the pin based on the GPS longitude and latitude that were embedded in her photo. So that is dropped the pin right where Lindsay took the picture. So here, again, we're all done with an offshore report. If you'd hit the submit button, Lindsay. Thank you. And we're all done. So this report will look the same on your phone as we've demonstrated here on a computer link. And that finalizes the training for today. We're looking forward to seeing all of you on the 25th. CLWA would like to thank you for all your assistance this year, and we are incredibly grateful for your time commitment to this program, your willingness to be part of the CLWA team, and your help to spread the awareness and knowledge among your neighbors about Canandaigua Lake water quality. You are all now citizen scientists.